Bangladesh has emerged as one of the key countries in India's neighborhood first policy and has a very special place in the foreign policy decision making in New Delhi. Over the last few months, the two countries have also collaborated on several events that celebrate separate momentous occasions in both the countries. One, of course, is the 100 years of the birth of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The other is the 50 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh. In keeping with those celebrations, a very unique exhibition has been organized by the two countries, and that is the Bangabandhu-Bapu Digital Exhibition. We have with us the curator of this exhibition, Biraj Yagnik, and we're going to talk about how you put this together. So could you just kindly kind of run us through how you actually got this together, because it involved working with Bangladesh.
So, as you say, Bangabandhu-Bapu, both are tall leaders, and they're even taller in their own countries, right? If you take their lives together, I mean, it's a huge volume of information, and they were, most important part was the way they were loved by their own people. So for us to say that we probably encapsulated everything of their life over here would be wrong. But what we have interestingly done is we have taken interesting anecdotes from different parts of their life, different parts of how the people see them today, different parts of how the world sees them today. And that's how we have curated this, to be I mean, as you know, that the exhibition speaks the language of technology, which is the language of today. So it's interactive in nature, and it's here to provide the youth with that little catalyst to start on their journey into learning more onto the lives of these two great leaders.
So you have a mix of interactive elements. You have footage, I've seen video footage. You also have a hologram and also a lot of interesting images. But I'm sure you had to work with organizations in Bangladesh to get some of this stuff?
Yeah. So I personally had to go down to Bangladesh and spend actually more than a week over there. We got fantastic cooperation from their museums, like the Liberation Museum, the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum, their archives, and the National Museum. And we got all the photographs from there, all the anecdotal information from there, because we didn't have any information of Bangabandhu with us. Then we took that information and came back to India and started the process of curation. The process of curation was also done between the two countries. So we had counterparts over there who helped us put everything together. This exhibition is actually going to be in English, Bangla, and Hindi. So as it moves to other parts of the world, the languages would be included so that the people over there are able to associate more with it.
We were speaking before we started doing this shoot about how South Asians are not really very, they're not the best examples of archiving. Was it very difficult to get material for this?
Surprisingly, no, because when you talk about Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in Bangladesh, and it being his 100-year celebrations, I think most of the work was already done for us over there. So they had all the information probably put in particular museums. We just had to go to different parts because they covered different aspects of his life, and we wanted to get the entire thing. So we just had to go to 4 basic places of information and gather the information.
Is there anything that really stood out from the stuff that you were able to gather? I mean, something that really stands out for you?
As you all know, after the assassination of Sheikh Mujib, for a certain period of time, there was no, I would say, there was no effort to document it. It was only in recent years the documentation has taken place over there, and a lot has been curated. In spite of working with that kind of, historical, lag of time, I think they have done a great job. They've recently published all the memoirs, the information, the diaries that have come out, the kind of access that they gave us, like one of the most pleasurable moments, or let's say, I shouldn't call it a pleasurable moment, but a moment that really took me by surprise was when I was allowed to go into the library of his personal library and actually be near the chair where he did the Declaration of Independence.
You were also mentioning, there's a very interesting photograph in the exhibition, which is possibly the only photograph of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and Bapu together.
In fact, if you see thematically, we have used blue in the exhibition. If you see our interfaces, and everybody asks me, why is this blue, right? And one of the reasons is we took the photograph of 13th of August 1947 of Bangabandhu and Bapu. It's shot in Calcutta. and we blued the background out so that, it was not a very good high-resolution photograph. So to get the identity of the two great leaders, we played with the background a little bit. And it's the only photograph that exists, and it was provided to us by the Bangladesh side.
And also, we spoke a little bit about the tunnel, which is possibly one of the more shocking elements in this thing, but it needs to be documented. Could you tell us a bit about that?
So I think, in both the leaders' lives, there were points of time where they must have seen a lot of grief. And I look at the point where Gandhi must have seen the grief when he heard about the Jallianwala Bagh. So we have an element over here where we have tried to recreate the Jallianwala Bagh through a wall, and a little slit through the wall, you actually see the clip of the movie Gandhi, where you see the Jallianwala Bagh, the incident taking place. When you look at it, you see the faces of the people firing, you see the faces of people jumping into the well, and it tells the entire story. It's a very emotional story. Yeah. Similarly, 3 million people were killed in the genocide that took place, in Bangladesh, and we had to document that story in our way. So we created something called the Genocide Tunnel. The Genocide Tunnel is a place where it's a 24-feet tunnel where you walk through. You would see a lot of frames of pictures, but at points of time they would be jumbled up, like that we scramble the images, and then we show you the images again for a few seconds, because some of the images are so gory that you wouldn't want to see them over and over again. We've also introduced a small little kiosk in there which actually narrates in first person some of the survivors of the rape and the genocide over there, which took place. And it has about 7 stories right now documented over there. We have a whole lot more, but it gives you in a true sense of what happened actually over there.
Obviously, these are very strange times. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Exhibitions are not really what they used to be earlier. How do you plan to get this to a wider audience? And obviously there are plans to take it to other cities and countries, as you mentioned.
So right now it's installed in Delhi, and we are, we're looking at digital media taking it out there. There are visits which are happening, which are more controlled over here. And the next stop, of course, is going to be Dhaka, Bangladesh, and then it's scheduled to tour all around Bangladesh. The way it is curated is you can take small groups of people, and you need to talk through the lives of the two leaders, and that's how we've been doing most of our curated tours in our past projects also. It is scheduled to go outside, reach the United Nations, and then finally come back to Kolkata over here to settle down over there. But there have always been talks of how it can be spread more and how the information can be taken out to a wider audience.
Any final thoughts? Something that you are going to take away from this exhibition?
I think the most important thing which I'm going to take away is this was my first opportunity to visit Bangladesh, and I wish I had done it earlier. It was a wonderful visit. I think we need to know our neighbors faster, quicker. Also, it gave us the opportunity to add some digital elements which we had not done earlier. Like we have a little robotic pen over here which does a little signature of both the great leaders. We have their favorite music set out in an IR form. We've managed to capture the hostel room in Barker's hostel in Calcutta, where Sheikh Mujib lived for so long. So just to give you an anecdotal information, when we walked into that room to take a 360-degree photograph, we noticed a window over there. So we said, can you open the window? They said, no, the window has never been opened. So I said, can we please open the window? So finally we persuaded and we opened the window. And we are so glad we did, because we probably were seeing the same sight which Sheikh Mujib used to see every day, because things hadn't changed outside over there. It was still that same red brick police station over there. So little interesting things have picked up along the way. And I think it's been a great experience.
Which will help people to find out more about these two great leaders.
Yes, it will help them. As I said, I think our motive right now by doing this exhibition was to use it as a catalyst, and then people get more excited and want to know more about the two great leaders. And then, there is so much more information available. So this is a great starting point.
Pleasure talking to you about the exhibition, and all the best with, when it moves out of India and to Bangladesh.
Thank you so much.